So, got the car in today. Talked a lot about all my new parts, but they've been sitting in a box mostly, so here we go. We've got Hotchkiss adjustable rear upper control arms. They are brand used, so trigger warning for all you clean culture f***s out there. We've got mismatched outer tie rods, but they are both Moog products, which kind of threw me for a loop. One has a castle nut, and the other one has a nylock nut. And I thought about putting a castle nut on the one with the nylock, but it doesn't even have the through hole, so no point in doing that. We got new inner tie rods as well. New fine adjustment cams here for these control arms. As you can see, the bushings aren't in the best condition, so at some point I may have to convert them over to poly. But for now, it's going to be better because we are lowering the car. So I have one strut fully assembled here. This is the Excel G struts that I was planning on using with the ground control, coilover, build your own, whatever, but that didn't work out. So I got these teen lowering springs that I'm going to put on it, which accidentally kind of match my wheels. They're a little brighter, but it's close enough. So this is kind of the parts without everything on there. Shaved the bump stop down so we can go a little lower without bottoming out all the time. We get some new bolts for my newly wrapped header, and I'm just waiting on my co-host to get me some clamps so that we can take the zip ties off and put it back in the car. We've got a new belt because my belt still squeals despite having put the new idler with the adjuster in it. We got all new OEM top hats, and we've got bump stops I still have to shave down. I got a Motorrad 140 degree thermostat, so I'm going to put that in and see if the car runs a little cooler. It does get very hot and heat soak under the hood, and there is a noticeable loss in performance even though the car barely has any horsepower to start with. I got a new slave cylinder because the one in the car looks like absolute crap. The plan is to do adjustable end links. I got these greasable Moog ones for now because the front ones are destroyed in this car, so it'll be good enough for now. I'm not super excited about having preloaded sway bar, but at the least I think it'll stiffen up the front. So we move over, we got the front springs, got some new Moog lower control arms for the front. I do not have poly bushings for them, so we'll still be a little sloppy there, but they'll work for the time being. And then got the Moog lower ball joints for these control arms. They just bolt in, as you can see, the 3-hole there. And then yeah, this should be sitting pretty. If I have time and things want to come apart, I have new drive axles for the car also. They're just cheap Rock Auto drive axles, but that's today's project right there. Wish me luck. Just wanted to give you a quick update, show you our nifty little spring compressor here. It's air powered. This cage already saved me once today. So one of these decided, obviously the one I didn't have put together, shot out at me, but the cage saved me. Unfortunately, this thing has already been chewed to shit because this is a dealership tool, so naturally nobody gives a fuck about protecting anything. But anyway, yeah, ate up my new springs, but they're installed, so whatever, fuck it. Daily driven shit box for sure. But I wanted to give you a comparison between the stock front spring and the teen lowering spring, so we'll definitely get some drop out of this thing. So I kind of fucked up and I didn't order this or this piece, which they're both kind of cracked and gross, but like I said, daily driven shitbox, I don't really care. I'm gonna clean them up and probably hit them with some silicone, hopefully refurbish them just a bit, and use those on those. Alright, so I cleaned them up. For the most part, they look pretty okay. There's some dry cracking. There's a little hole right there. It's not beautiful. We're doing this, I wouldn't even call them brand used at this point. They're just used, so we're going to call this the Rust Belt Refurb. Yeah, so I used Dawn dish soap and water and Toyota silicone spray to clean them up, wipe them down, and help condition the rubber. Hopefully it doesn't make them swell and have the opposite effect, what I'm looking for, but I'm gonna spray them out with some compressed air so there's no extra that like leaks down into the seals area of the strut. So yeah, stay tuned. Got one strut completely assembled here. So that's what you're looking for. There are these little cork looking things, they're foam actually, that go between the strut mount and the top hat. Those might be the other way around, I don't know, Gabe would know. He does suspension like this all the time. Technical term, not sure. But I shaved down the bump stops, took a chunk off of them. This is what the original ones look like. So you can see they are now shorter. I think I did pretty alright. Just used a little sawzall, little air sawzall, and die grinder with a roll-off disc to clean them up. So this one is all set, and I'm going to do the next one, and then I'm going to start tearing the rest of the front suspension out of this thing, because as you can see, it's a piece of crap. So hopefully we can get these axles in too, because my boots are leaking real bad and they vibrate like crazy, and I'm quite frankly sick and tired of it. So the other thing, I think I'm going to prep these mounting surfaces, get them just kind of cleaned up a little bit, maybe some Scotch-Brite, and then we got some rust starting here, so I'm gonna try to take care of that a bit and put some undercoating in here to slow stuff down, because eventually this shell of this car is getting fully restored back to its original condition as best as I can. So yeah, we'll go from here. So I'm not sure if it's open source or not, however, there is TSB install accessory install instructions for TRD lowering springs for this car still. I found it, obviously I'm a technician so I can find this stuff, but yeah, it's step by step to do the TRD install. One important note about these struts is, yes I am torquing into spec, this little piece you have right here is supposed to be lined up with the outside of the strut. So they do mention it in the directions, so if you do this by the directions, make sure you do that. But if you're doing it by this video, I mean, you should probably find me directions, to be honest, but that is how you do it. These are the TRD brakes, by the way. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. They were made by StopTech originally. They do not have the TRD insignia on the side, but it used to be there. See if you can catch it in the video. See, there was a T there at one point, so they just put stickers on them. At some point, when I rebuild these, or if I get a second set and rebuild, I'd like to strip it down, put the TRD back on, and then do the coat over it, so that maybe it'll stay longer. Anyway, I managed to get some dirt out of the shock well and wheel well area. I had some gray spray paint, so overspray everywhere, because at some point this car is getting stripped down and everything is getting cleaned up, but I cleaned up some rust and then I painted over it all. I think it looks better. It's not a very good paint job. Obviously, this is stuff you won't really see on the car anyway. I just want it for rust prevention purposes. This is probably all going to flake off anyway, but I figured I'd make it look uniform for now and just see how it goes. I didn't take this off or anything. I just don't care that much. I just don't want it to rot away on me. So this is all the dirt that came out of both the shock wells and the wheel wells next to my foot. And I'm a size 12. It's a decent pile of dirt there. So same thing on this side. Overspray for days. But yeah, got some stuff painted. As you can see, my wheel well on this side is chewed up and missing. I will be replacing that obviously at some point, but priorities. So yep, we got some drippage and everything, but so far so good. So we're gonna get to work on the rear now, and I'll check back with you once I have that stuff disassembled. So I just want to say that Rust Belt 0, Jake 1, that's a new one. That's the old one. The other old one also came out. So let's venture on over to the rear of the car. So what I had to do was take off these little subframe sub brackets here that go to this hole, this stud right here. Yeah, this is a rusty ass car, so I know, I don't need you to tell me. But it's savable, so I'm going to at some point here once I have a house with a garage. Anyway, that is beside the point. That is the factory camber adjustment location. And the cam bolts actually just came out. I am shocked. So I now will have adjustable camber arms. I got to take out the outer bolts. But they are on the outside, so they're a lot easier to get to. So as you can see, it'll go in right there. What I had to do was I took long extension. A locking extension is good with a swivel, impact swivel on a 1/2 inch air gun. If you have an electric, you can do this. But the key was this bad boy right here. The Ingersoll brand boomstick, as I'll call it, but air hammer. So Cornwell, fun fact, is just basically a distributor for rebranded Ingersoll Rand guns. I strongly encourage people to use Ingersoll Rand products because they do hold up really well. The cheaper version of that I do have, which I found to be a little bit temperamental. The other thing about this is this likes to spin free and the set screws don't really work. So if that pisses you off enough that you don't want it, then don't use it. But I like it, I don't mind it, I deal with it. So yeah, use that with the BFH. I originally, sorry, can't talk, tried using striking pry bar to push them out of there, but it wasn't having it. So I went over to the boomstick and there we go. Popped them out, so now I'm gonna get those out and then take out the lower bolts for the struts. And pretty soon here we will have a lowered Scion TC. We got them out with the old, in with the brand used. Hotchkiss made a lot of the TRD parts for this car, if you didn't know that already. We're gonna clean this up a bit, clean up in there as best as we can. And when I install the new eccentric cams with the new control arms, which by the way, the bushings are greasable on the outside. Yeah, on the outside. So that's a pretty sweet plus. But speaking of grease, we are going to be putting grease in the eccentric cam bolt for the fine adjustment, so I don't have to fuck around with the turnbuckle all the time, because I can get a wrench up in there when it's on the alignment rack, which will make my life a lot easier. So pretty dismal shape for the bolt. I do not have new ones. I might try to match them up with some that we have at the shop here, but for now we're just gonna get to cleaning, and hopefully we will have this stuff in pretty shortly here. So I managed to make a mess, obviously. So if I was trying to fight all the rust on this thing, I could be here probably for the rest of time. But yeah, I mean, I stripped that down. Oh, so nice little runny spray paint, but I got these stripped down for the most part and painted over some of the bare metal here. There's definitely still rust under some of that paint, but I'm just trying to slow this down until I can put a new subframe in this car. So it's not pretty, just like the front, but it'll work for my purposes for now. I'm purely trying to get the car to handle better, just so I get a feel for what I'm looking for, and possibly figure out any more issues I may have, like rubbing and such. Oop, there we go, can't walk. But yeah, as you can see, I've already managed to make some serious headway into the sidewall of my tires with the edge here. So that may have to be rolled pretty soon. But besides the point, we're gonna get it so that I can tuck it without having to deal with that for the moment. So I will come back once I have the struts out, and we'll go from there. Actually, one other thing. I did a no-no. This is kind of a banjo string right now. That is my ABS wire, so I am going to take that bolt out, so that way that doesn't continue to be like that. And I may even unplug it, just for shits and giggles, so stay tuned. Look who showed up.
I got a header.
Gonna do some header wrapping, clamping items.
Header things.
Fucking clutch man. So yeah, the parts pile is getting smaller. I am unfucking my mistake because these are upside down. So that's what I'm doing. Little update, I have everything apart in the rear. I have never had the rear interior out of this car, that's why it's so disgusting. I'm gonna try to clean it up a little bit while I'm in here. I'm not gonna go crazy because I do have an unsolved water leak at the moment. I know my taillight seals are leaking, but I also have seen drips of water coming down my rear window. Things are pretty gross, so I'm gonna wipe it out, vacuum it out, make it nicer-ish, and all this crap can go back in once I have the struts in. So the struts mount here, the OEM one is still in right here, so it's a bit of a process. There's a screw right here. These little clips pop out. You got to be careful when you do it because they can break for sure. Other than that, it's this centerpiece, the garnish that's normally across this part, and then my car is a factory option subwoofer box. So you got to take out the spare tire, take out the subwoofer box, which is over here. Plug for it's right there. Take that out. Take the other plastic storage area out, and then this middle piece right here comes out. It's got a push pin, and then I would recommend taking everything out and then getting to that one bolt that holds this in. If you take the 3 out that you can see initially and then just pull on it, you're going to break off the little tab at the very end. So I think the hole is this one that you have to put your gun through, but if you have some impacts and a screw gun, it makes life very easy. A good pry tool is also necessary. So, all right, so struts are in. Be torquing them when we're on the ground. There's Ugly over there, fucking around with a bolt.
How we doing?
This is the bolt he's fucking around with on his side. So Hotchkiss arms are in. Nothing's tightened down yet. But as you can see, Yo Nevo. You have Gabe's big head. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Strut is in. And Goob is working on fucking with this rust belt piece of crap.
Fighting it.
To get that motherfucker in there, so.
Where's this 19mm?
We are cranking along. We've got the front in as well with my beautifully painted wheel well.
Hey, does this double as a 19mm hammer?
Yeah, of course it does. It's under warranty. All Snap-on products are hammers, in case you were wondering. So, yeah, there we go. So next on the agenda is going to be lower control arms and inner and outer tie rods. So we'll get these bad boys out of the way in the process as well, put the new ones in. You win this time, Rust Belt.
You bastard. See, my work dudes. I forgot to bring my safety dudes.
Right about, yeah, there. See, they're all chrome now, so you can't touch.
Well, get fucked. You lose this round, boy.
Accident.
So Jake, what are we doing right now?
Fighting with the Rust Belt.
Fighting with the Rust Belt.
Bracket holds the bearing that carries the passenger side CV axle, and that bitch is stuck in there. So I'm gonna make it not stuck in there anymore.
There's some flame wrench.
Flame wrench is a good friend. We are well acquainted.
Yes, this is what you call Rust Belt stuff.
Come on.
Welcome back. Jake is currently pissed off at this. So last time you saw, we were trying to take this out of the car, by separating this, as you can see from our
Which we
marriage.
still have to do.
Yes, we still have to get these separated, but it wasn't happening in the car. It just wasn't. So
It was not. So
now we're playing
first
the old-
round of attack is this way. Second round of attack is going to be bolts in the air hammer.
Yep.
Trying to make that go that way.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. We're not reusing this axle, so I don't give a shit what happens to it.
Make sure to grab your pry bars.
And this is still...
Unfortunately, it's still really hot because somebody was using a flame wrench.
Who's that asshole anyway?
Yeah, who needs flame wrenches?
That's actually working. We are actually creating a gap. Oh! Don't do that.
Duh. Slowly but surely, we're going to try to make this happen. Rag so I can hold this. So that way if I miss, I destroy my hammer. I'm waiting for the guy who's like, why don't you use the press? Where the fuck are you going to press against? Literally.
Explain that to me.
Oh, that worked. There it is. Hey,
Still got it.
got the fucking victory lap
Let's
over
go.
here. Yes, sir. Fuck that shit. That's what you call of 220,000 miles of, or how many miles?
238,000.
238,000 miles of New England fucking torture to this poor fucking car.
Yep.
Hey,
So,
where we got the new one?
But I'm kind of sick of using the other outer tie rod removal tool, so I'm going to get this one instead. Oh, actually they're both out.
Ooh.
Where is it?
Let's find it. Let's see if I can figure out what it is before he grabs it. Huh?
So it's been a minute since the update. Looks like I over-greased this one a bit, but greased everything. We're all pretty much put together. Gotta finish those bolts there. Suspension's in, control arms are in. Everything's in. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish buttoning it up. The rear is fully together. So just a matter of finishing it up, getting it out of here. Alright, so I skipped a lot of stuff, but as you can see, she's much lower, which is very good. I only wanted like a 1 to 1.5 inch drop, which is what I got, so I'm happy with it. Bit of a pain in the ass. Definitely make sure everything gets torqued on the ground. Don't do it suspended. Preliminary numbers were way different than when you actually torque it at the right ride height, so make sure you're doing that. I would not recommend doing this to a high mileage car unless you have access to a lift and professional grade equipment like I do, because that was a pain in the ass. The reason I skipped so much time is I've been in here for 12 hours straight working on this car. So yeah, I'm happy with the results. I'm excited to go drive it, and I'll give you first impressions. Alright, so first impression, just driving it out of the shop. There are no pops and clunks, so let's see how it goes in the parking lot. Oh, it rubs like a mother in the fucking rear still. That's gonna be a problem. Guess we're gonna need some more camber slash fender rolling. But the car feels pretty solid.
I think the side without the bump stop is making some clunking noises, so that's annoying. Yep, that's really annoying. Well, oh, there's a police officer up here who would probably love to pull me over. Settling, so let's just keep on driving and see how things go. Car is much louder with the newly heat-wrapped header. Yeah, definitely need to mess around with the alignment on this thing as everything kind of gets settled in, and then I'll retorque all the stuff. But it feels good. That little clunky noise in the back is kind of annoying. Oh, that's very annoying. That doesn't sound like oh, you know what? I wonder if I didn't tighten down the camber arms enough. So I set the camber arms to, not as much camber, but pretty close to the max camber that I could. And then I fine-tune adjusted with the factory camber bolts just to see how it would go. And I was able to actually adjust out like a degree of camber with the factory adjuster. Let's see. How it feels getting on the highway. Vibration on acceleration. I think these CD axles aren't the greatest. They're Cardone. Obviously, you saw how much we had to beat the crap out of the old one to get it out of here. So I'm not sure if maybe we damaged anything. I'm hoping not. I haven't had any issues with that in the past. But, you know, there's a first time for everything. So let's hope that maybe it's just a crappy axle. Yeah, under heavier load they vibrate a lot, so that concerns me because this car is not making anywhere near as much horsepower as I plan on making it produce, so that'll be an issue. Especially when all the Hondas and the Subarus show up, I'm gonna have to put up with that vibration. But so far so good. I mean, it's not blowing me away. I'm getting a lot of rub in the rear, despite the fact that I already cambered it out pretty good. I got -3 degrees of camber going in the rear at the moment, so I'm definitely going to have to do some rolling because I don't really want to go more than that due to tire wear concerns. But yeah, I mean, you can probably hear the drone in the car, so I'm going to get off of here because I bet the audio is pretty bad. I'm happy with it so far. I can't wait to get it completely dialed and then take it on some twisty roads and just kind of see how planted it feels. Thanks for watching, guys.